Thank you for joining me for my second part of my presentation, Knowledge is Power, exploring the importance of cross-cultural dialogue in Niel van der Wast's Bushmen myth song cycle. The Bushmen have adopted to recognize and apply certain partials of the harmonic series. By applying these partials in a consecutive order, they reveal two types of scales. The first comprise of partials up to and including number 7 of the harmonic series, and the second scale up to including number 9 of the series. With the addition of the 9th partial, a pentatonic scale emerges. Kirby states that all the indigenous music appears to be based on these two scales. Van der Wast considers the use of pentatonic scales and motives as a link to ancient African traditions and generously applies it in the accompaniment and the vocal lines of the cycle. As we can see in the first song of the cycle, The Sun, the opening pentatonic chord immediately establishes a link to African music traditions and could possibly be seen as underscoring simplicity and innocence. Van der Wast's choice of time signature 6/4 is a clear reference to the mbira or thumb piano. According to John Brearley in his article A Musical Tour of Botswana in 1982, the thumb piano is a frequent accompaniment to Bushman singing, although the norm is to play it as a solo instrument. Brearley observes that the keys of the thumb piano are arranged in pairs, usually in an octave apart, to allow them to be played simultaneously. Van der Wast's arrangement of the accompaniment follows the left hand to outline the chords, while the right hand adds mostly color tones. Our next slide indicates a glissando over a minor third in the vocal line. Reminiscent of traditional African singing, this inclusion demonstrates the composer's further interest in incorporating traditional African singing elements within a Western tonal approach. This excerpt from the second song of the cycle, The Stars, illustrates a general tonal progression of tonic to dominant to tonic. To portray the grand scheme of the cosmos, Van der Wast uses the most basic of progressions, tonic to dominant, to send a message of its being primal. As observed by Kirby, a simplistic recurring musical phrase or sentence is characteristic of indigenous Bushman instrumental and vocal music. A harmonic ostinati pattern might allude to this primal progression. Kirby states that while playing the cow, the fundamental tone acts as a drone due to its prolongation. Van der Wast frequently utilizes pedal points that act as drones throughout his song cycle. He maintains that the functionality of pedal points varies according to its purpose. For instance, the pedal points can stabilize a key or tonal area or destabilize it and create dissonance. Our excerpt starts with a 6-measure pedal point on the dominant G-flat tonality, measures 1 through 6, that arrives in bar 7 on C-flat major. The pedal point acts here to stabilize and affirm the tonal area. In The Stars, the poet communicates the birth of the cosmos, and the composer might allude to grounding this theme of the text through the use of his pedal points. Conversely, in the last 7 measures of the song, The Stars, the pedal point serves to destabilize the tonality and create dissonance, painting a descriptive tone picture of the shining stars. The Bushmen themselves have adopted over time cross-cultural influences in their musical traditions. Kirby's observations categorize songs acquired from Europeans into 3 subsections: hymns, secular songs with Afrikaans words, and vocal imitations of European instruments. The example shown is of an Afrikaans song that includes syncopation. Syncopation occurs frequently in both vocal and hand clapping accompaniments by the Bushmen. Due to their familiarity with Afrikaans, a Dutch derivative language, which many Bushmen could speak quite tolerably, it is not surprising that imitation of this technique often occurs in their music making. To represent death in the final song, Van der Walt skillfully disguises the beat in syncopation because the heart doesn't beat anymore. The cradle song, the final song of the cycle, beautifully describes the balance between man and nature. If someone dies, the gentle crescent moon comes and scoops the deceased and cradles her in her arms. The composer utilizes 3 different pentatonic scales, D-flat, A-flat, and G-flat for this final song. There is a purposeful misalignment of cadential points between the vocal line and the accompaniment. Van der Walt clarifies his objective in these measures, stating that the piano symbolizes the continuation of life on a cosmic scale, while the voice, us, appears and disappears in our little struggles with life. For the first time in this cycle, the composer applies the technique of pandiatonicism. To simulate the cradling, the rhythmic movement changes completely. The chords become static, the tempo changes, it becomes much slower, and the chord progression with melody is quite dissonant. Together, these elements create the tender moment which suggests that the moon cradles and gently rocks the deceased. Thus, by cradling quintal, chordal, and pentatonic harmony in the above measures, Van der Walt is able to apply harmonic comfort to the deceased. Van der Walt concludes the song with 2 chord clusters in the right hand accompaniment and a stack of quintal harmony in the left. For Van der Walt, this represents life. These myths, all we think we know, remains a mystery, pregnant with the possibility to be fulfilled in the next phrase, cycle, or performance. Van der Walt does use some cyclical techniques to unify the text, beginning with the birth of the sun and concluding with the moon cradling the dead at the end. He then concludes the cycle with the prominent use of pandiatonicism. This application not only unifies the cycle, but also comes full circle, back to African roots, back to the earth. These examples offers a remarkable integration of African cultural elements within a Western harmonic syntax, emphasizing the commutative role that music can play in promoting cross-cultural dialogue. I conclude. Van der Walt's awareness of and respect for his social, cultural environment has resulted in a unique compositional aesthetic, empowering the artist to portray music in a purposeful and coherent way. This clear purpose enshrined in his musical expressions, coupled with an intensely personal compositional voice, is an apt vehicle that foments interest in and awareness about a culture that is verging on extinction. This unique integration of diverse musical elements and traditions presents an opportunity for cultural dialogue and exchange that demands recognition in the art song canon of our times. Although geographically and culturally distant, Van der Walt's unique composition unravels for one as performer or casual learner the wonders and mysteries of the mythical world of the Bushmen. I thank you for your time. Thank you.